In today's video, we are going to look at Bitcoin, altcoins. We are going to look at the macro markets, what's happening. Is this bluff from Trump, or is this the beginning of a bull market? We're going to look at the bond market. So really good one. Let's look into it. Okay, let's start with big news yesterday, where Trump paused tariffs for 90 days to every single country except for China. This is really good. Markets had a really good recovery, one of the best days ever for the US 100, S&P 500. So really good news. I knew, or at least I hoped, that this was just a negotiating tactic from Trump, and it is. So really good. Now he's trying to get some allies to negotiate with China, which is also really good. In the next 2-3 weeks, in the next month, if USA and China can get to a deal, I expect massive surge for stock market everywhere in the world. So really good. Also, Trump said that he doesn't even rule out extending the 90-day tariff pause. So really good. This is just a negotiating tactic from USA. They had big deficits. They were exporting far more than they were importing. So they are just trying to get better trade deals. So really good. So as you can see here, market is already pricing the worst case scenario in case USA and China don't get to an agreement. So worst case scenario is already priced in. The thing is, if they get to a deal, then we are going to have, I'd say at least a mini bull market. Also, the VIX, the volatility index, traded at 60. That only happens in crisis, so also very good. So I'm optimist for the next few weeks. I think the worst case scenario is already priced in. Also very important to see the US debt holders. One thing I don't like is the yields for the 10-year bonds is almost at 4.30%. So really high, which means for the US to refinance the 9 trillion that they have, they are paying massive interest, around 4%. So the fact that people are selling bonds, which is a big problem because USA has a 36 trillion debt. The fact that people are selling USA debt, supposedly the best debt you can have, it's a bad sign. So another thing I'm looking at, CPI came lower than expected, which is really good. We are getting to the target for the Federal Reserve of 2%. I think looking at inflation getting to the target of 2%, the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates, and we're going to go from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. So as you can see, deflation tariffs are not going to be inflationary. They are a one-time increase. So tax cuts coming, China heading towards deep recession because the tariffs on China are bigger, and USA is starting to have far more allies and people trying to trade with them, except for China. So China is, like some experts say, going to a recession. So liquidity coming, US coming close to a recession, but likely avoid as long as Federal Reserve acts soon. Exactly. So if the Federal Reserve starts to lower interest rates, starts to go to quantitative easing, I think we don't go to a recession in USA, or at least it delays for a while. Today, if we look at altcoins, we are going down. Majority of altcoins, except for Tau, that today is still doing very, very well. It's been one of the best coins, and I think it will be top 5 in the next year, at least top 10, I would say. Because if you look at US markets today, 4% down. Let's see if this is just a retracement or we continue the downtrend. So as you can see on the weekly, the US 100 came into a very good zone, previous supply zone, also really good demand here on the 3-day. So far we are bouncing. Let's see if on the weekly we can close. As long as we don't lose 16,000, we could do something like this and then target the key level around 20k. So if US 100 starts to close above 20K, really bullish. Bitcoin still holding. We went to 83K. Now retracing, of course, because the US market is going down, but so far it's still following the money supply. So M2, that calculates the amount of money in circulation and deposits as well, has a 90% correlation with Bitcoin. So if you look at the chart, the chart is following almost perfectly. So with 107 days lag, Bitcoin follows 80% of the time in 1 year time frame. So if we continue following around May, we're going to have a good bounce. So it wouldn't surprise me in May for Bitcoin to at least target 100K. If it follows exactly like money supply does, we are going to have Bitcoin at new all-time highs and even getting to 120, 130K. That'd be really good. Another thing I'm looking at is the Bitcoin dominance, the most important chart when it comes to altcoins. Historically, we only had alt season when we got to 70%. At the moment, we are at 63, really close to target, as you can see here. So what I'm looking at is we have Federal Reserve having his target on inflation, 2%. We have tariffs being paused. We are getting to a place that I think is really good to DCA into really good altcoins like Tau, Solana. And you have the Federal Reserve doing quantitative easing. So looking to the markets overall, I think is a good level to accumulate good altcoins, which I think there are not many, to be honest. But getting to 70% with the Federal Reserve increasing liquidity, we might have at least a mini alt season in the next few months. Another thing I don't like is, as I spoke, the yield for the 10-year yield is really high. This is not very good, meaning people are selling bonds, or big investors. Bonds are supposedly the safest investment you can do. The fact that they are being sold is not very good. If you look at altcoins, Tau is holding very, very well. So Tau keeps being my number one coin. Is a decentralized infrastructure, has amazing subnets like Shoot, which is for me one of the best, say, companies, decentralized companies I've seen. Is already around 50-60 million, but if it's valued correctly, it would be $1 billion project. So Shoot, Stargan, amazing too. Proprietary trading. You have so many good subnets on Tau that I think this will be top 10 this year. So Tau is holding well. If it starts close above 280, expect this to have a big move to 500. So far it's holding. Let's see if it continues. I think the low is in for Tau. Seeing the activity happening in the subnets makes me really bullish on Tau. So Tau, trade wise, did a change of character right here around 220. Now we have this key level supply zone around 280s. If you can cross above that, also if you look at the 12 and 21 EMAs, we are in a good place. So Tau is holding well. Also Tau against Bitcoin is above the 12 and 21 EMAs. If it starts close above this level here, expect Tau to do very well also against Bitcoin. I think it's a great level to accumulate Tau, because if you look on the monthly, Tau came into a demand zone, already mitigated that demand zone, is at range lows. And if you look at what's happening in the ecosystem, is by far the most interesting project we've seen in crypto. Subnets are doing very well, and is really bullish for Tau overall. Another coin I'm looking at is Sui, still not in the level I want to. Around 160 is a level I want to accumulate. Solana, I would like to accumulate this around $80. Between 90 and 70 is really good. It's a weekly demand zone. So if Solana can hold this level, I think we're going to have a good bounce. But to be honest, I think at this moment in time, the best one to accumulate, based on the future, AI is just starting. The amount of innovation happening in Tau is something I never seen in any crypto. I think by far is the best crypto to accumulate, not financial advice, of course. I'm looking at Tau, Sui, Solana. Sonic also, but it's showing weakness. Hyperliquid is showing strength as well. Another decentralized exchange I think has a lot of potential. In the same Similar situation to Tau above the 12 and 21. So these are the, say, the coins I'm looking at. Tau, Bitcoin, of course, always very safe. I also have Bitcoin, but by far Tau is my number one holding. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. See you soon.